Unmute myself. And the Switch. And the computer. Everything's unmuted now. Glorious. Alright, here, give me a second while I shove this to where it goes. Which is here. Bring the chat back. And, yeah. Okay. Alright. Don't mind the best new Pokemon Snap photo I've ever taken. Today, we're doing Miitopia. And we got a letter. As this game does at the start of every, day you've played. We get 3 outing tickets. Lovely. Okay, that's right. We were in a cave. Yes. Okay. Now it's coming back to me. We're doing the cave part of next door. So it's been a while since I've played this game because there was that lengthy hiatus I took starting around July 21st. All the way up until now. It's admittedly been a long ass time since I played any Miitopia, but I'm finally back. If any friends join, you'll be hearing them too. Yeah. So I'm just gonna start plowing through this stuff, and yeah, we'll hop to it. I guess I'm going up. I believe there's a lot of like diamond-shaped paths in this one, so I'm gonna kind of be doing a bunch where I'm gonna go over it twice. But yeah. Trying to think. So with Pokemon Unite having been my most recent Wednesday streams, there's not a new sprite to be had, but that's okay. That's okay. But yeah, it's been a week. Yeah, we got some interesting news. There was like the Nindy showcase. I don't usually watch those just because there's not a lot of indie games that I really end up playing often, so I didn't watch that, but we had that. There was a lot of news from that. If you're into things like Axiom Verge, there's like huge news there, and all around good time. From what I heard, a lot of hype. But the thing I'm interested in is this is a big one. Coming up next Wednesday, there is a Pokemon Presents at 9 in the morning for me, 6 in the morning Pacific. It's crazy. But yeah, it's going to be focused on the Gen 4 remakes and Legends Arceus, which I guess is kind of obvious considering they're the only 2 games announced for Pokemon that are of note that have yet to come out. But also, excuse my allergies. My nose has been leaky today. It's funny, it's like every day, it's before I stream, my body is like, oh, how about we have the worst allergies right now, just immediately. Why not? Why wouldn't we do that? And I can't really find an argument against it. It just makes sense. Oh, hi, Morsha. Gave us a letter. Thanks, Dio. We got 1 banana. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what goes on in that Pokemon Presents that's coming up next week. Just because, neither of these are games that have like looked particularly amazing in the original announcement. They were probably the least. I would say Legends Arceus had a lot of hype, but then quickly it fell off into a lot of debate over the visuals, as it seems to usually go. But Legends Arceus was way further out from completion than BDSP. So, like, honestly, if there's a game that's gonna have any visual issues, I would hope that is the one. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how that one has, kind of shifted over the course of development visually. Because, like, that's the kind of thing that, like, I really find interesting. I'm excited to see BDSP because, like, we've seen, like, little bits of footage of how it looks now. I want to see, like, actual quality footage, and really get a chance to see, has it improved in any vast ways? How much has it improved? Just getting a feel for where BDSP is now, because we saw a lot of footage and a lot of screenshots from that original build. We've seen screenshots from a newer build. We've seen a tiny snippet of footage from an even newer build. I'm curious, are we going to see the stuff that was in the Switch OLED trailer in this upcoming stream, or are we going to see something more akin to... sorry, I was just figuring out who needs to go where now. But yeah, like, I'm curious to see if this trailer is just going to be the same as the Switch OLED stuff that we saw, but longer. If the stuff in that was going to be snippets from this trailer, or if it's going to be entirely new footage and maybe even an entirely different build. Like, maybe it'll look even better, maybe it'll look worse. It's hard to say, but it's really exciting to be in this position where there's a lot of possibilities and we don't know what is going to actually be the case in the end. All I know is it's not going to be the old build, But it's one of those things that really excites me. Like, I don't know, I find game development, like, really interesting, so having this opportunity to see the progress of these games develop is really cool. Because I think, like, if I had to predict what's going to happen, I think BDSP are going to look way better than they did in the first trailer. And I think that Legends Arceus is going to look better in some subtle ways that might be hard to notice at first. But then if you look a little deeper, you'll find it. Because generally, when it comes to the development by Game Freak changes relatively little. Like, I know there's been this whole debate over whether or not anything changes. I would say Game Freak does change things. They don't just do nothing. They definitely make changes. You definitely see these tweaks in builds that show up in trailers. But I think the largest thing is that when the games come out, they try to keep them looking as close to the trailers as possible. Basically, they hone in everything that you're going to see in the trailers as much as possible so that what you see in the end isn't too different. But at the same time, Legends Arceus was announced way earlier than most Pokemon games, and it had footage way sooner than most Pokemon games do. So maybe we'll see more upgrades. But if I had to predict it, it's going to look pretty much, pretty much as it was, but like a little better in some like kind of subtle ways. But then I think with like BDSP, I think we might see some drastic changes because that's not developed by Game Freak. That's developed by an entirely different studio. Ilka, we haven't seen a lot of their, stuff over time and how it ends up changing and how it ends up looking. So I think it's just going to be kind of interesting to see how Ilka's sort of marketing or like development and marketing shifts, because most games that we get from Pokemon, it's like when they're marketing it, it's almost as you're gonna see it. But this feels like it could be something very much like, you know, ready to improve more, you know, just given that, you know, it's, you know, not Game Freak developing it, and it's kind of put into this place where, you know, what we know about Game Freak isn't necessarily what we know about Ilka. We don't know how it's going to look in the end. And I think even more interesting than how it's going to look just because it's Ilka, I think it's going to be particularly fun to kind of see what art style they go for, because like the art style they look like they're going for is basically like Let's Go Pikachu Eevee in battle, where, you know, you don't have any cell shading, you just have like this kind of almost plasticky look. But I know that Ilka, they worked on Pokemon Home, and if you've ever used Pokemon Home, you know that it has like, I don't want to say, like, it looks realistic, but, like, it uses varied reflectivity and, like, sort of, like, materials. It's definitely not, like, it's Smash Ultimate style, you know, like, physics-based rendering pipeline. Like, it's not using PBR or anything, but they're like metal Pokemon, like Pokemon that are metallic tend to have like a reflectivity to them. Pokemon that are, you know, from the ocean tend to look slippery. And I don't think they would go for like a realistic art style necessarily, but I could see them sort of designing it such that, you know, the metal on Pokemon is reflective. And shiny looking. And then, you know, Pokemon that have like gemstones, those might be shiny looking, because, you know, you get like Dialga and you get Palkia. And the only reason I'm thinking that they might do that is because the art style for the key art for the Pokemon. The Dialga and Palkia renders on the box art are ridiculously detailed, like more detailed than they ever needed to be. And then, like, the artwork they released of, you know, the main characters, the artwork they released of the starters, all of that's, like, way higher quality than it's really... Or not higher quality, but more realistic than it's ever been. And once again, I don't think they're going to make the textures look realistic, but I could see them kind of adding, like, some subtle bump mapping and reflection maps and stuff like that to make it look less like plastic, you know, give it a little more grounded a visual sense, because I think that could be interesting. I think that could set it apart and make it kind of unique, because like that's one of the things I always enjoyed back in the day when I was playing like sprite-based Pokemon games, is I liked seeing what a Pokemon looked like in the new game. Like, I trained a lot of teams in Heart Gold and Soul Silver of Pokemon that I had trained in Diamond and Pearl, and it was just because I wanted to see what their follow sprites look like. I wanted to see what their sprites in the like party look like, their front sprites, their back sprites, you know, how they're the same, how they're different. That just always interested me. Like, in, you know, Heart Gold and Soul Silver versus like Diamond and Pearl, Grimer and Muck are colored differently, you know. Like, it's subtle things like that I'm like, oh man, I want to see this. I want to see where the differences lie. I want to see how it's improved and how it's, you know, how maybe it's not improved, how maybe it's gotten worse, maybe I don't like a sprite as much. And I just think that's a really engaging thing for me. And I think that was kind of the biggest disappointment with the... Whoops, not that one, not that one. My biggest disappointment... Oh god, there's just nothing to feel. That's the most Golem there. Lovely. Like the biggest disappointment for me with the 3DS era of Pokemon was that X and Y and Sun and Moon had very little differences. Like they had a couple model tweaks, like X and Y had a different model for... No, I gave you the wrong one. X and Y had a different model for the ears on Glameow, for instance. And so, like, they were straight up in X and Y, and then they curved them for Sun and Moon, which is more accurate to the art. Like, it was stuff like that. So, like, subtle changes. But I think the biggest difference they've had in an art style was, like, between the 3DS era and, like, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, where they had this sort of, like, painterly stuff on their on their textures so that they didn't just look like a solid color, because that looks very boring when you're using a realistic lighting engine. If you're using something like a cell shading engine, you can kind of get away with that, just because when you're cell shading, it's not like, you know, the lighting is where your art style really comes from, and you usually want it to be a bit simple. Like, think Wind Waker, you know, Link was a couple shades of green, and then the lighting engine, he would shade him, and that was like it. That was everything. It was a couple shades of green, and it was good enough. That was all it took for it to look good. And I think the 3DS Pokemon era had a really good cel-shaded style, and so they were able to get away with that, like, simplistic texture. But I feel like when you take away that cell shading, you kind of need something to make up for it in visual interest. And I think it would be interesting to see Oka kind of take it in a little bit more, you know, not, once again, not realistic a direction, but, like, giving the materials a sense of being material. Because, like, I think that is probably the biggest weak point in HD Pokemon right now, is that, like, Sword and Shield were kind of, like, cel-shaded. Like, I think they're technically cel-shaded. I don't think they're, you know, cel-shaded in as interesting a way as something like Wind Waker was, or as the 3DS Pokemon games. So, like, that's a little disappointing, and I would like to see... You know, I'd like to see them do something cel-shaded again, but at the same time, maybe they want to lean away from that style, but they kind of have to find a new style that looks good, because I don't think Sword and Shield was that style. Like, not that it looks bad, but I don't know. I think it's not as visually interesting an art style. But... oh, we got plot happening. What's going on with these two? Oh no, Gino's getting a hairstyle change. That's gonna look awful. Well, now his headband has turned into just a headband. I don't mind the hair. The hair's not bad. Not Gino, but I've seen worse. Alright. Professor Oak and Rapidash, that's fitting. Lovely. I like them becoming friends. They're ones that I want to have become friends. We got 3 arcade tickets, so maybe that's gonna be small chance of good weapon. Let's see how that goes. I'll give the tickets to Golem. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see what comes up on that Wednesday, like, Pokemon Presents. I've heard, like, I think it was Birdkeeper Toby was predicting we'll see a Pokemon that's a secret reveal from Gen 8 Sort of like how Togepi was a secret reveal from Gen 2, and like, yeah, what were some of the other ones? Like Bonsly in XD Gale of Darkness, and like stuff like that. He thinks that we'll see that. I have zero chance, I think, that we get a Gen 8 Pokemon. I think any Pokemon we would get would be considered a Gen 7 Pokemon. But I think the odds we get one are low. You know? Because I don't think either of these games are ones that are designed to introduce new things. Like, one is meant to be a relatively faithful adaptation of Gen 4. Gen 4 had new Pokemon, yeah, but I don't think they're going to introduce, like, Sinnohan forms or anything like that to set it apart. I think it's going to look pretty much like what you expect of Pokemon. So, I don't know. I think we'll see. We'll see what comes when it comes, but yeah, I'm not holding out hope for for a reveal of a new Pokemon. If they reveal a new Pokemon, cool. Like, I'm not even expecting them to reveal, like, new forms. Like, I legit, I don't even think Megas are going to be in the Gen 4 remakes. I know a lot of people are hoping for a return to Megas. They could bring them back, but at the same time, I don't think they will. I don't think they will. Though I suppose it would be interesting if they did add new Megas, because a lot of people have kind of felt that they've abandoned the mechanics since Gen 6. I don't think they're going to bring new ones in, but at the same time, it could be interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Pokemon Presents should be cool. I'm trying to think of what other cool things have been going on. We got new trailers of, like, Metroid Dread and stuff like that. Like, small little peaks, but that game's gonna be sick. I'm not gonna be streaming it for pretty obvious reasons. It's not the type of game that I tend to stream, but I will be playing it. I have the pre-order already. You know, I have my Switch OLED pre-ordered. I'm gonna pick up both. Well, I'm gonna pick up my Switch OLED after work that day. You know, on launch day, and then I'm going to get in the mail my copy of Metroid Dread. Alright, let's see what we got in the arcade today. Arcade tells me Skull Spear. Small chance, but let's see if... Okay, we don't get it, but we get the steak. We almost got the spear. But food's fine, too. This is a good quality Gollum steak, you know? Good for giving to my many characters who want to attack. Okay, well, he does not like it. You do not like it. You love it. Okay. Oh, no. No, I wanted to... Dang it. Alright, well, I'm gonna have to save this fried cobra for me. It's fine. Okay, we have two people who want to buy stuff. Can afford both, so I'll give them both and we'll see if both get them. Alright, we got one. Sure, equip that. We got them both. Hey! Nice. Not every day you get them both. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I kind of run out of stuff to talk about easier because my life has been so boring. You know, I work, I go to work, I come home, I do some stuff at home. I go to work. I don't know. I mean, last weekend, Gwen and I took our save the date photos. After we've actually like sent those out, I might show off like a couple of them. On here or something. There's actually a couple more that I wanted to go through and like make sure they look nice, just because we didn't use them on the save the dates, but we liked those photos. It might be nice to keep them around somewhere, you know. But yeah, it was a fun time. We went to a nearby park in the Pittsburgh area. We had Lynn as our photographer, so he's not just an artist; he's also a photographer. Which he claims he has no experience with photography, but like he understands framing at the least. You know, he's an artist, and he has like a high quality camera. Like there's I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things where you take good photos with your good camera because you know good art. But I don't know. Maybe there is like a learning curve to it because you know I wouldn't say that like a photographer would know how to like make a good drawing. But at the same time, like it feels like photography is you know kind of simple, at least in that basic click and snap mentality. But yeah, whatever. But yeah, that's that was an exciting thing to do. It was just nice as well because we were able to like just kind of spend some time hanging out in like a nice park. Like it was a really pretty place. Like we went to a park. If you've ever been in the Pittsburgh area, you might have heard of it. It's Fall Run Park. It's a very narrow, long park, and we had to walk like a little ways. It wasn't that long of a walk. It was maybe quarter mile, half mile. On this like a well-maintained trail. Like it wasn't like we were off the beaten path or anything. But at the end of that trail, there's like this gorgeous like waterfall. There's like a lot of really pretty like rock formations there. It's a really nice place. So it was fun to be able to do that. I want to like try to do that more because that was the thing. Like I always did that with my dad. Where we would... God, there's... What feels Professor Oak? I feel like that's at least Great Ball colors. I don't know. But yeah, like, I always used to go out with my dad to, like, different things like that. We'd always go on... I wouldn't call them hikes, you know? I feel like hikes these days, like that sounds pretentious, you know? Like, oh, I hike. You know, you just walk places, I hike. Like, if I don't want to sound like that. Like, you know, we would just go out to like a cool place and walk around for a while, you know? You know, Panama Rocks and stuff. You hit the algorithm. You hit the algorithm enough to get 43 views. And that's, yeah. Look, I had a channel. This channel's, like, I've basically abandoned it. It's, like, de facto dead. No one subs to it because there's no new content on it. That channel had at its peak like 112 subscribers. Its most viewed video is, I believe last I checked, around 16,000 views. I could be wrong, but I think that's the case. I should actually check. Give me a second. Let's see, what is my views? Oh my god, it's at 20k views now. Such a disappointment that the better version that I made has 92. You know, it just goes to show you gotta hit the algorithm at the right time, and I apparently did with the first one. Yeah, I mean, you hit a spot where if people search it, you know, they find it. Like... Yeah, I like Miitopia. It's a chill time. It's goofy and weird. But like I also actually enjoy a lot of the mechanics in it. Like the relationship system's interesting. Because it kind of like puts a lot of like sort of like critical hit and other like luck-based things like that into a system that you actually have to foster. And I like that. But yeah, most viewed video I've ever put on YouTube was legit 20,000 views at this point. Its first day it hit like 6K or 8K or something like that, maybe even 10, I don't remember anymore. And I'm just sitting there, I was like, how did this video, like an actual shit post, get this many views? I mean, granted, I put it onto like a meme site, but like most things that I would put there just disappear, you know? Oh, you can find rich snurps going to karaoke. Okay. I didn't know that it was like specific types of things give you higher chances of different like random encounters. Because like I've run into random encounters before, like, you know, but I've never noticed there was like a pattern to them. But I guess that makes sense that there's like actual purpose behind it, because this game is a very deliberate game for the most part. Like the enemies are always these like set ones on these set spots. You know, there are no random encounters in this game, so like I could see that. You know, like there are random encounters in doing like those trips, but like actually having those be laid out makes a lot more sense than my brain going, oh, just pick a random thing in the area. Yes, I believe I found that one in my main playthrough. I beat the 3DS version. I haven't beaten this one fully. Like, I beat the whole, like, tower mechanic, or, like, not mechanic, tower part of the game, or whatever it is, like, where you, like, fight the, like, sort of boss rush of, like, the, like, dark versions of the bosses. And, like, that was hard as heck, but I haven't done that in this one yet. I've just been hit by so many. Sorry. My allergies have been atrocious today. But yeah, I have like so many games to play right now. Because like I was playing this, and then I like got hit with being busy with, you know, other things. And started playing, you know, and then by the time I was like done being busy with those things, I think it was like around that time was like when Skyward Sword HD came out, and like I started playing that. But then literally like not long into that, there was like, you know, Pokemon Unite came out, and then a little after that, Pokemon Snap got an update. So I've just been like so like caught up in random. I'll give them Pokemon colors. Just like so many random games. It's like, this is the first time in a long time Nintendo has made me feel like I have too many games that I'm playing. Like, I used to, like, usually when I buy Nintendo games, like, I have time to, like, play through one to my heart's content before I get a new one. But, like, literally this year I have bought so many games. Or not just this year, like, this year and last year. Well, last year was mostly Animal Crossing, but like, yeah, like this year I bought 5. I've only like arguably beaten 2 of the 5. I guess you could argue I beat Miitopia in my main playthrough. I just haven't like gone through the full game. Like I haven't completed the post game. It's like, it's crazy. Nintendo is like robbing me. They're just like shaking me down for everything I've got. You know, like the OLED Switch. Oh, the Switch version, I think there's like a little bit extra of post-game. Like, I think that the 3DS one ends after you beat the dark version of the final boss. And, like, that's the full extent of, like, the post-game as far as, like, that region goes. Like, the, like area where you actually fight that boss rush type thing. But I think the Switch version at least was data mined before release to have a little bit extra there. I actually haven't confirmed that myself. Like, you know, I don't actually know. I haven't done the research to check, but I'm pretty sure that there was something more found. Like, if it wasn't there, then it's like potential free DLC in the future. But I'm doubtful that they're gonna do free DLC for this. But like, other than that, there's the horse. That's probably the biggest difference. This game has the horse. The 3DS version was legitimately a lot harder because there was no horse. Like, you had no horse and you had no... Oh, are there 8? Oh my god, what? Oh my god, I'm so far from done with this version, apparently. Wow. Okay. Well, all you've told me is I need to play more of this in my free time. Should start playing it on breaks at work. I don't usually, like, I don't bring my Switch to work when I go to work. Just because, like, I don't know. I, like, watch YouTube while I'm there. I don't want people to know I'm a gamer, even though I sit there and watch Let's Plays when I'm in my free time. You know, and I'm like on lunch, I eat food and watch Let's Plays. But I also watch like science videos, so people like look and they go, oh, science video, okay. He's just like science dude. But no. I'll like discover it for myself. Don't spoil it on me, but like I like knowing that there's extra stuff here. But yeah, I'm trying to think some of the other differences. Yeah, no outing tickets, no horse. So like you built up your relationships a lot slower, early game especially, because like the outing tickets become less viable as a way to do that late game. I think they also in this one modified a lot of the paths though. There used to be a lot more of that like one path where it like branches and then branches, and so you get like 3 distinct sections. Like you have like the I think it splits 3 ways and then there's 2 branches off of each of those. So like if you go through all of the paths, you have to play through that map like 6 times to get the flag. There were a lot of those. Like they replaced them in this with ones that are like 5s and 4s. You know, it's like I remember how long I played the original for. It was a long time. They definitely like simplified some of the maps, at least from what I remember. I could be completely wrong on that, and like it just feels like they increased the pace, but I don't know. But yeah, I do like that they added the horse. I wish the horse had kind of, with its introduction, been balanced around. Because, like, this game's late game and post game were, like, ridiculously hard in the original. Like, I would be out of sprinkles almost every time I took a path at all. Late game, like, it was nutty. And, like, the final boss fight, oh, crazy. So, like, it was a little bit of a, like, not a disappointment, but, like, you know, it was definitely one of the changes that the horse brought about. I do watch Stranger Things. I'm very excited for the upcoming season. Oh, Gollum's gone. That's fine. We'll be fine. Ah. But yeah, like, yeah, I saw the trailer for the upcoming season. I'm just like, oh, can't wait for it to come out. Oh, season 2 Season 2 was a good one. Honestly, like, every season's good. I very much like Stranger Things. I think it's a very well-made show, and it's just good. I don't know how else to describe it. It's phenomenally made. Introduced me to the wonderful person that is it Dave Harbour? Is that his name? I think that's his name. Wonderful guy. Wonderful actor. Like, he just seems like a genuinely good person. And like, I enjoy his acting in pretty much everything I've seen him in. I was like, man, yeah. That's fair. The Demogorgon was sick. Like, the design of that thing was nutty. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, everything tied to, like, Stranger Things is nutty. Like, everything that's from the Upside Down is just crazy looking, but, like, the Demogorgon was awesome. I think Stranger Things Season 1, the best thing it does is it's, like, very good at, like, its thriller and, like, I wouldn't call it horror elements, because, like, it is kind of scary, but, like, it's mostly meant to be unsettling. Like, there are scary parts, but I wouldn't say that it's, like, trying to use jump scares constantly or, like, trying to give you this scary atmosphere as much as it's trying to provide, like, a sense of unrest and, like, supernatural stuff going on. Like, I loved that about Season 1, especially. Like, it's not that the other seasons are worse, being, like, a little less into that. Because, like, Season 1 was kind of like a mystery in some regards, you know? But I still like the direction they've gone with the show over time. It's so good. I like... you go do that. But yeah, I love Stranger Things. I'm so excited to see the new season. No, there's a ragged costume. Don't you give me that. Oh, I was too slow. Disgusting. It's not worth selling. God, I failed. I didn't see in time that was what the weapon / armor prize was. How could I do this to myself? Alright, we're almost to Thanos. Yeah, at some point I want to update this scroll. I'm like internally debating whether or not I want it to be like... Yeah, I have this like deep internal debate on whether I want my scroll to be just Risio, like just the art that my friend 4 Dozen Eggs has done for this series. You know, with the Risio, myself as the Great Sage, and the you know, Sir Priz as the Dark Lord. Like, there's a part of me that wants to use just those, but there's also a part of me that wants to like fill in that scroll with like all the characters, you know, those ones and the ones on my team. But the ones on my team, like, it's gonna be varying qualities, you know, they're not all going to be, you know, sort of like scaled nicely. But I guess, you know, Risio is not really to scale, quote unquote, but like, you know what I mean, like the Gollum art. You know, it's like cut off at a certain point, if I remember correctly, or at least you know, surprised Pikachu is. Like, it's not going to be full body art like pretty much all of the stuff that I have is. Like, the only one I've got that's not full body is, like, Dark Lord Surprise. Because he gets cut off at the bottom. That's because he's big, you know? He's big and imposing. It's hard to fit all that in one little space. But, hey, we get actual good stuff. So let's get that. Alright, well, we got Slime Jelly. Can we get the robe? No. We get lots of jelly. Alright. Alright. Next game. Lovely. Alright, everyone gets HP from that. You can get HP and attack. Okay. Found it delicious. Good. Okay, like that for HP. What do you think? You like that for HP. Okay, you're neutral. Okay, so we got 2 neutrals and 2 loves. Well, I'm gonna throw it into Golem, because Golem has, like, had little... No, well... Never mind. I'll just even it out here. Alright. We can afford it. Alright, gotta change my hat now. Stuff. There we go. Cool. Nice. Do I want an incredibly cute me? How cute we talking? Like, what is this me? Also, I'm just gonna, like, give a heads up. I, like, don't, like, download me's or, like, check people's me lists on stream just in case someone has, like, an inappropriate me of some sort. Not saying that you would necessarily, but, like, you know, I'm not gonna trust random people on the internet, when I'm opening it up. I don't want someone to, like, have a me that's, like, just, like, titties the me, you know? I want to, like, make sure that it's gonna be something that, like, I would like on my stream. Look at Thanos here. He's very white, you know? Ooh, a Wii robot? Okay. Okay, that sounds nice. Yeah, if you want to, like, drop your code, I can check it out after stream. Like, that's what I did the last time someone had, like, a me of interest. Alright, time to suck up Thanos. I know it. It's just Thanos, right? Thanos. 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 I have so many times just spammed this for a while. Right, here, I'll write that down just so that I can't forget it. You know, in case other things come into chat. So yeah, 7 at 48. V-A-T. Lovely. I refuse. Okay, yeah, now I've really hit the loop. Alright, I'll leave him be. He's sorry. He's gonna return the treasure to the townspeople. War har. Goodbye, Thanos. See, that's all you needed to do in Avengers Infinity War. You just needed to get his lamp and try to suck him. He's returned his treasure. I like that little robot statue. He's cute. Alright, it's FaceTime. Surprise is here. No more faces. Took the townspeople's faces clean off. Flap. God. This is the most cursed old man. He looks very sad. Oh my god, he took Kronk. Bowser's fine. Yep. Yes. Alright. Has this path been here the whole time and I've just ignored it? I probably ignored it, honestly, to further complete content. I feel like there was probably just like...
Hello, Jordan.
Oh my god, hello. My headphones were loud. Hey, Keith.
Oh, am I too
Welcome.
loud? Sorry.
No, you're not too loud. It's literally just I had my headphones like at whatever volume they were at. And so like apparently I had it pretty loud. I must have been listening to something quiet. My shoes are untied.
Well, you better tie them up, I guess. I don't know.
Who needs to tie shoes when there are scorpions afoot? Scary scorpions.
Here's
But don't worry, Professor Oak has his milk. His secret unstable milk.
great. So on your team right now, you got Professor Oak, you got Gino. Yeah, that's a good
Yes,
one.
yeah, I got Juno.
Then the guy from the Lord of the Rings,
Yes, I have Gollum.
Eagle, or Gollum.
Yes. I gave him the cat suit because it makes him crawl around.
Yes.
That was literally the
makes
entire
sense.
purpose.
Yeah.
I was like, what would Gollum even be? Because I think I rolled the dice for that one.
There's something about Professor Oak like shaking a bottle and spraying it on. Just not a great image.
It's fine. He's just giving them a potion. Well, actually, wait. What's the green one? There's a green. Is that the like awakening?
What?
There's a green like spray items.
Are you talking about Pokemon?
Yeah. Is
I'm
it an
pretty
awakening
sure
that's the green one?
Is, no, it's not an antidote. Antidote's yellow. Blue,
Oh, yeah,
I
antidote's yellow.
believe is a burn heal. Green might be awakening actually, or I know also a full restore. I'm gonna Google this.
Yes, full restores are green. Maybe he's just spraying a full restore on the enemies. And that's why the faces come off. He's restored them to having their faces on their people.
No, awakening is blue.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
What is green?
It's, I believe green is burn heal actually.
Green is burn heal. Is like maybe aloe is the inspiration on that one?
That
I don't know if there's like a reason for any of those colors. I feel like they just pick a color.
Yeah.
They just pick a color and go, yeah, that's a good color.
Who cares? Yeah, it's okay. So purple is potion, red is super potion, pink is hyper potion. Dark blue is max potion. I guess light green you could say is full restore. They're a very similar shade of green.
Yeah,
Full
I was gonna
restore.
say I feel like that one's got to be similar because that's how my brain remembers it. Is that they're pretty close.
But antidotes, yellow, kind of orangish. Burn heal's green. Ice heal is also pink. Awakening.
That's
is
right,
light
it is
blue.
pink.
Awakening's light blue, and max potion's like dark blue. Paralyzed heal is light yellow, and full heal is blue.
Yeah. I feel like I feel like at some level there's probably some like, oh, these colors make sense for these things, but at the same time, I feel like they might have just been like,
Jordan,
yo, we
if
need
you
different
think about
colors.
everything makes sense.
I guess that's fair.
You know? That's why I try not to think too much.
You know what? Valid. Alright, here you go, Gollum. God, you're terrifying.
I'm just gonna be programming in Python. Like I have to my entire life. I should just, I don't know, like get a job where I can just write Python code all day. And
I mean, there's a lot of jobs that do that.
Yeah. Except I have like zero. I don't know. Is there a test you can take to like prove that you know how to program in Python?
Yes, actually. There's legitimately like even like LinkedIn has those. Like they have LinkedIn assessments for pretty much every programming language, and it puts like a little icon on your profile next to it if you have it as a skill.
I could probably pass Python.
Look,
I might need to like study for like a few like more obscure things, but I could probably pass it. Like,
I mean, you just have to get a higher than I think the 70th percentile or higher,
yeah,
which is surprisingly easy on some of the tests. Like some of the tests, it's literally like you get a 50% and you are in that like higher percentile and ready to get the badge. Like I have had ones where I was like, oh, there's no way I get this, or like, and then I've had ones where it's like I got 2 wrong and it was like, sorry, screw you, and I'm like, no. All right, general knowledge. It's gonna be these ones are hard for me. Let's see.
Which side does the sun rise?
Here, wait. This is a thinker.
What? All right. Well, I grew up on East Sunset, so that must be west, right?
Yes.
Why would my street name be East Sunset? That's an oxymoron.
Yes. So it has to be.
Exactly.
Also, I love that I can pause during these timed challenges.
Oh my.
All right, the sun rises. 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Question 2. Oh, I actually know this one. 10.
Yeah, because otherwise it'd be an octopus.
Yeah, that's why we call them decapi.
That's why we call them squids.
Decapodes.
Because squid stands for 10.
Yeah. You know, a squintillion.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 10th one up.
People call hands. If you put both your hands together, that's a squid.
Yeah.
Point your eyes real hard, you have 10 eyeballs.
Oh my god, you're right.
All makes sense.
It's all science, you know? You know, our hands and feet were the real squids all along.
Like a physics test or something, or like a chemistry test, and he was like, what does this word mean? And I'm just like, well, I'm gonna assume based off of like the suffix, this is what this word means, even though I've never seen it before. And like that would work, 70% of the time. It's like English language is weird, but it's not impossible.
Like,
it's not completely random.
Yeah, it's like you can figure things out if you like.
Yeah,
if you know enough,
English language makes
you can get by on
like
context.
60% sense, which is less than most languages, I would argue. I actually don't know. I don't know any other language besides English, so I'm just making this up. Like, I'm completely making this up, but I feel like the English language makes about 60%.
I think that's fair. I would say, like,
Right.
from my understanding of, like, French, I would say French is, like, 75% it makes sense. Like, certain letters, lead to weird, unexpected pronunciations, but when you see that new set of those letters, it will always be that pronunciation. Like, it'll, like, be inconsistent in, like, the small scale, but then when you like look at the grand scheme of the words, it's like, oh no, all of these ones are O's and all of these ones are I got
I'm
that.
talking about like meanings of words, right? Not so much pronunciation. But I think
fair.
pronunciation definitely does have a bit to do, right? Because I think like language like Korean is like the pronunciation for words, at least written out, is I believe 100% consistent or very close to.
Yes, yeah. Korean is much like Japanese in that way, where like
It's
it's very consistent.
phonetically consistent. I think is it.
And especially Korean though, because Korean you can like look for the most part at like certain aspects of the characters and be like, oh, that means this is definitely going to make that like oh kind of a noise, like that eo.
Yeah, it's
like
there's what was it called? Banana, like certain ways to memorize it, like.
Where like the closest thing you get in like Japanese is like when you have like the little circle or like the little like quotation mark looking things, that those have like a change to like it's that character, but then you add like the circle and it takes it and makes it a b instead of a p or whatever, which is like like a small level of like you look at it and you immediately know at least part of it if you like know what that little circle does. But then like in Korean it's very consistent and like very clear. Like if you I honestly I feel like Korean is probably not an extremely hard language to learn, at least like how to read,
Yeah, I think like I've definitely heard multiple people say like Korean's easy language to at least learn how to read, not like understand, but at least learn how to like pronounce all the words and read it.
Meanwhile, like Japanese is almost impossible to read. It's not as hard as Chinese. But if you're reading like traditional Mandarin, that takes so long to learn. But Japanese has too many types of letters.
Yeah.
And they're used pretty randomly sometimes. Like, oh, we wrote this word in hiragana. Well, we gotta make the next word kanji. That way you'll know that it's the next word because there's no space. And it's like, man, I just want to read.
You should all just switch to Chinese and use very slow like typewriters.
Are we gonna do this like Firefly? I think it was Firefly that did that. Not that did typewriters.
What?
No, but in.
Okay, I was so
Okay,
confused.
so the thing I'm talking about with Firefly is like in Firefly, it it takes place in the future and like basically the biggest.
Yeah,
the-
like they have
like
like
the
the
biggest-
mix of like Japanese or Chinese and English, right?
Well, yeah, because like the Chinese basically became the like largest Earth-based like spacefaring group. So like there's a large number of people who are Chinese, and like they basically are the entire human government at that point. Like the Earth and like humankind kind of is like very
Homogenous.
like not homogenous. It's just that like the Chinese kind of became like the big power like after like as far as like spacefaring stuff went, kind of like how like the Europeans kind of became like the like explorers of the new world and kind of like dominated the Americas. It's like China kind of did that but in space, and so like all of the like space stuff is basically Chinese, and there's like a few groups out there that are like not Chinese, but like most of the people who did most of the exploring and like most of the settling and like all the most settled areas were Chinese, but everything else is like Wild West. At least that's what I remember of like the premise behind it. Okay, you want cotton candy? Yeah, okay, you're neutral on cotton candy, but you like scorpions. Here you go. Very Gollum of you. Ham to the Ham King. Delicious. Alright. it off, I think. Alright, let's do this on the pave. I have like a bunch of stale tortilla chips from the graduation party. And I was like, man, what am I gonna do with stale tortilla chips? And like my brain came up with the strangest possible thing. Because I was like, oh, maybe I could like bake them and it kind of would like de-stale them, you know? Because I know there's certain things you can do that with. But I was like, if that...
Wait, are you trying to eat the cookies from graduation?
No, the tortilla chips that I have.
Oh, from your graduation party, the ones that got
yes.
kind of soaked up all that moisture.
Yeah, they were very stale. And I was like, what can I do with these? And I was like, well, I know certain things, like if you like bake it, like if you take bread and you like bake it, it kind of like gets that moisture out and kind of de-stales it. I don't know if it would change the taste, but if it does, my brain was like, make tortilla lasagna.
You mean
using like salsa, like taco seasoned meats and like beans.
You're just
it's not nachos. It's not nachos though, because I'm gonna mix it up and like layer it like a lasagna. It's like a nacho lasagna.
I think you're just talking about nachos.
This is different nachos though. Okay,
you know
there's layers of chips and
right.
salsa and meat and beans and like refried beans and cheese. There's gonna be so much cheese. I was like,
have you
literally
never had nachos with beans in it?
I've had nachos with beans, but I'm saying like they're all gonna be baked in one dish, layered, you know, together.
Yeah,
like a lasagna.
Like Jordan, I don't quite see how that's different from just nachos, but you know what?
Because normal nachos, you don't like bake them all together. You like add the stuff to the nachos, you know. But this is all together. Like it's definitely very nachos-y.
I feel like it's just nachos.
Well, like I'm gonna like bake it all together.
Yeah, that's what you do with nachos. Like if you heat up the nachos, like yeah, okay. There's like different ways of making nachos, right? Like you could just pour the cheese on it or whatever, and there you go. Like the simplest nachos, right, could just be like here's like some tortilla chips with some hot cheese on it, right? And like that's I think most people's idea of
that's like what I'm thinking of like as like the baseline, and I'm thinking like Kin's loaded nachos as like a step up from that and like more standard.
Baked like this stuff, didn't they at McKinn's?
No, they just you would get nachos and they would just like take a box. And it was either pre-filled, or if they didn't have any pre-filled ones, they would like scoop nachos from the nacho pile, and they'd like put that in the box, and then they just dump the stuff on it.
With all the stuff on it, and then just put it in the oven and took it out. It doesn't make it into lasagna.
It doesn't, but like it's that because you know that you've just dumped the things on top, and then you like put it in the oven. But like this is like
if I just
layered.
Put it in a box and shook it up, and then put it in the oven and pulled it out, that doesn't make lasagna.
Well, no, because lasagna is layered.
I feel like lasagna is the name of a specific spaghetti, so unless you're putting in that,
it is a specific pasta, but it's like preparation, you know, is very very specific. Like you've got like the layers of sauce and then noodle and then cheese and sauce,
right? Like the preparation
it's like
process
preparing nachos in a way that's inspired by lasagna.
Yeah,
is what I'm doing.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, and like my brain just was like, this is the only option. This is the only option. If this works, you have to do it. And like, I legitimately was just like, as soon as that came into my mind, I'm like, Gwen, we need to get salsa and like cheese and like nacho shit. And she was like, why? And I'm like, I'm gonna make nacho lasagna. And so like that is part of our shopping list, because like I normally don't get cheese, just because every time I get cheese I like don't use it enough and it just gets moldy. I'm like, well, then why even buy more cheese, you know, every week or like every 2 weeks, because it's just gonna go bad because I'm not gonna use it all. But this is like the one instance I'm like, oh my god, I can use the cheese.
Sure can.
But we also have like a shit ton of like beans and stuff that we got from like my dad's house. So like that's part of the other, like that's like the other part of it is that like we have a ton of beans right now, and like the only other thing I know how to like make with beans is like chili. So like I wanted to kind of like do something that I haven't done with beans, but at the same time do something I feel would work with beans. So like I feel like this is if the chips taste fine, this would be a good option. So I'm gonna have to like do a test bake of the chips. Protag privilege. Protag privilege. Alright. I'm not gonna dump it all on the protag. I feel like Professor Oak has the shittiest stats of the three. So, right, you eat your scorpions. You strange cat creature. Oh, he doesn't want any more scorpions. You want jelly? Yeah. Alright, well. I have a leftover scorpion. Did you hear about the Pokemon Presents coming up next week?
Yeah, you mentioned it on the Discord that I used to see.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, I was actually talking about it with Mike last night after you. Yeah.
I'm like curious to see if Legends has improved at all. Cause like it's very Game Freak to present things as like final as possible, and like you'll see small changes or like, oh, the background's different in this battle scene. But I also feel like this is like a game they announced like way earlier and showed footage of way earlier than they usually do.
Yeah.
So like I could see them having it look different and like more polished. It's like I don't know. It's like,
I would be happy if they change it. I'm not entirely sure they are gonna change it.
Yeah, I'm definitely like in that boat where it's like I could see them doing it, but at the same time, I
hope they do. Because like even if like Nintendo like Game Freak doesn't have like a history of like changing stuff after putting them in a presentation, I feel like this might be a good time to like try and fix things.
I feel like this is like the case that we would most likely see it at.
It wasn't like oh, I'm not going to buy the game because it looks like such crap. It is pretty low quality, I think. Even like
no,
the animations don't look good. They just don't look good, and like they don't need to be great. I don't play Pokemon for the animation.
Yeah,
it's whatever. Don't care about that. But I feel like it at least needs to be. I would like it if it was more present. If it was at least not, glitching out over the place.
Having like the Pokemon that like move at like 10 frames per second because they're small. It's like, yeah, but he's 5 feet from the camera. Why is he going at 10 frames per second?
Yeah. I don't really care.
I feel like
much.
that's
I don't give a shit. Like, I'll be honest, Jordan. I don't give a shit about it.
Well, it's specifically like how they change the frame rates for Pokemon, like a specific mod. So like the game is running at 30, but like that one is like.
I don't care. Like I know exactly what you mean. I don't care.
But yeah, I feel like with this one, because like Game Freak has made changes, but they're like it's usually like a background thing. Like the Nugget Bridge in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee is very different in the final game and way better in the final game visually, like as a battlefield. So like I could see them doing that in this, where you'd have just subtle changes where it's like, oh, things in the background don't look as bad, or like, during the fights the UI looks a little better or something like that. But like at the same time, I feel like they could also have like a drastically different level of quality where it's just like you see and you're like, oh, this is definitely not the same quality we saw last time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, that's why I'm like curious to see what they do with this one.
Yeah. Like I feel like it seems like
there's a lot of ifs.
Go a very different direction with this game, which is interesting and exciting for me, I guess. But like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm also kind of worried like this, because like that's the thing though. It's like they're clearly trying to take a risk with this game.
Yeah.
But I'm worried that it seems like if they're not, putting in enough effort to make sure that this game lands well, right? Because like, I don't know, I guess like all we can really say at this point is complete speculation. Like all we have are a few shots of the game. Who knows what it's gonna play like, right? I guess like like it could go really well or it could go really bad, right? And you can say that about any game. So like I don't want to like speculate too much, I guess. But like, my fear is like I guess like one thing I am like afraid of is like if they try something really new and like try and do things differently and then it goes really poorly and fans hate it and then they just
go, okay, fine, we'll just do the thing we've always done,
right? Which fans also hate now. Right? Because fans are also kind of getting tired of that too. It's like Pokemon needs to try and do something different and kind of like change up style a little bit, I think, to like kind of get fans back on board, like longtime fans back on board. I think new fans don't really care if you change things up that much because not like they're bored of it now. But for people like me and you who've been playing these games for 20 years now, it's like, oh, we kind of want to see something different, right? And so like I'm worried that like this is them trying to do that, but then failing. And
yeah, I definitely get what you mean with that. Like if it doesn't go well and they like never do it again, that's going to be a huge problem.
This game could be, it might not even be that different from normal Pokemon games because we literally haven't seen very much at all.
Yeah, we know very little, and like I think the one thing that I think
how they're advertising it, I'm assuming it's going to be a different, right? It's a different setting than anything they've ever done before. They seem to have like a different focus on the game than like what they've done before, so it doesn't seem like they're advertising it as this is a standalone game. Just by the fact that like it's a standalone game, it's not like their traditional like here's like Pokemon, Zero Pokemon or like Pokemon Left and Pokemon Right. This is like Pokemon Arceus, right? So it's like it's unique entry for this, right, for the franchise. So like it's definitely going to be different. I don't think it's going to be like we'll see how it goes. I'm definitely very interested to see what the direct is going to be like. I'm definitely going to be looking for like I'm most interested in Pokemon Arceus' Legends, Pokemon Diamond. Like I'm interested, don't get me wrong, but like this is definitely like Arceus' Legend is definitely a game I'm very, very, very interested in.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if they give us any like details on how like if there are differences, like what differences they have in like the Diamond and Pearl remakes versus like the originals, like and like if there will be things that are consistent,
it's like literally it's gonna be the most cookie cutter like remake.
Well, but there's so far there is no evidence of it.
Like that there's no evidence of it being a.
I'm not saying that it's going to, because I'm not saying it's going to be like more than what like Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire or like Heart Gold and Soul Silver did. But like the current prevailing theory,
I think it's gonna be less than like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that like everyone's stance is that it's going to be less, and I'm like, I don't like. At the same time, I could see it being less because it's a separate studio, but they also have already had some stuff that's consistent with like Platinum, at least in regards to like having access to Shaman Skyform in the game.
Okay, but that's just a Platinum remake. It's the same thing.
Well, yeah, but like the other thing is like will like the Battle Frontier be back?
At this point, have they shown any evidence whatsoever of them doing literally anything that wasn't in? other than like the expected like mega evolutions.
Well, that's the thing. I don't even know if they'll have megas. Like that's one thing I'm certain of, is that like I don't think they will have that.
Don't
Like
think
they
they'll have
could. I'm like 90% sure they won't have megas because like I just feel like it's not the type of thing that they want to keep having in Pokemon. Like it seems like they've been trying to lean away from it outside of like Pokemon Masters EX. Like you can't even have like a mega in like if you hit level 15 in Pokemon Unite, you don't even get to be a mega then. Like and that's the highest level you get to. So like I could see them just not having megas in it, or similar like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, having them be exclusively post game. Like you get to the very end and then you get them.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm thinking in Diamond Pearls. Like I think megas are gonna be a post game if they're in there. Right. I'm interested
I could see that maybe.
Really, the biggest thing I'm interested in is if they bring back the Battle Frontier.
That's the thing I want to see. Because like that's the thing I think would put it above normal, like the other remakes. Is like Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire got rid of the Battle Frontier.
I don't think it does. I don't think they would put it above them, but it would be nice. I want to see it.
I mean, well, because that's the thing. Like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire was like that was its biggest disappointment for a lot of people.
Yeah, that was my biggest fucking disappointment, is that they didn't bring back the freaking like actual Battle Frontier, because that was great. That was literally the biggest selling point of the Battle Frontier. Was amazing.
And like it was especially disappointing that they just had like a hey, it's coming. But like I feel like a lot of people also didn't like the like tweaks they made to how the story progressed. A lot of people were really upset with like the design of like Archie and the design of Maxie.
I don't care.
Or specifically Maxie, people had issue with. People liked Archie, but like
is there like?
And I think Tabitha too. People were disappointed with, but like. It like there were a lot of small issues a lot of people had. Like I enjoyed Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, but I know a lot of people like hate them with a burning passion and think they are the worst like remakes Game Freak has ever made.
That's what it's like to be in a toxic community like Pokemon.
Yeah.
People have ridiculous expectations.
And it's like
disappointed.
I just want the game to be fun. Like I had fun with Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. Like I had fun with the Battle Maison in X and Y. I also had fun with it in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. I would have preferred that we got the Battle Frontier, but I wasn't like, this is the worst game they've ever made. Because like the Battle Frontier wasn't even in Ruby and Sapphire. So like it was already a long shot. It was just disappointing that they referenced it and then didn't do anything with it. You know? Yeah. Like coming soon. Like that was like, that felt cheap, you know? Mm-hmm. Like you could have just not referenced it. And it wouldn't have been as much of an issue. People would have been like, oh, I was hoping for it, but, you know, I guess it's not here. They were like, nah, we'll, like, give them a little hint. Just a taste of what it could have been. But, yeah, I feel like I'm curious to see how they go, because, like, it's weird, because I feel like at the same time they could do something very unexpected with it, given that it's not Game Freak and they've typically done more what's expected. But I could also see them being like, oh, we want to play it as safe as possible because we're not Game Freak, you know? It's like, I don't know, I have like the reason I'm like curious to see what goes on with it is just because there's so many unknowns as far as like BDSP go, because like they're not, you know, it's a different studio, and it's like a studio that's like generally done smaller stuff. Mm-hmm. So like I'm curious to see how they handle something this big. But like I think Legends Arceus is like the more interesting one to like see what actually happens with, you know, just because it is literally the biggest risk Game Freak's taken in years with Pokemon. And I know a lot of people, like, there's, like, this one dude, I don't know why the subreddit PokeLeaks never has anything to do with, like, actual leaks. It's a mixture of people posting ridiculous things, and I keep getting, like, recommendations for it because there was, like, one time I clicked on one thing, and Reddit was like, oh, you must like this. I'm like, no, I don't. And, like, but there's this one dude, he's literally gone through and watched the trailers, like, dozens of times, or the trailer dozens of times for Legends Arceus to like document interesting things. And one of the things like he noticed is that, and he noticed this just because of like 4 visible like flickering pixels from the lack of anti-aliasing. They have 3D modeled, by the looks of it, most of the mouths of the Pokemon, which means they have new models, which makes sense because the ones that they've been using are just downscaled versions of like larger ones that they also use in promotional stuff. But they're using an actual higher quality version because like the Sword and Shield used the same models that they used on the 3DS for the most part. Like there were a couple that changed, but like it was for the most part the same ones they used there. So the mouths were like flat and flush with the face. And like it's the same deal with like new Pokemon Snap too. So this would be the first time that we're seeing them actually use newer models and like basically what the HD models, you know, can be, like actual models that use the system to its highest potential and isn't just doing the same thing that like the 3DS pulled off, but now with high res textures. So like that's kind of interesting to see, like, oh, we're getting new models. And they also documented that there are new animations that we haven't seen in any of the moves in any of the games up until this time. So it's like it looks like they're kind of responding to that like fan feedback of like, hey, these all are the old animations, and like, hey, these are all the same models and stuff. And so like it's kind of interesting to see them actually, you know, moving forward on that for once. Because like I feel like they could have just as easily used the same models and same animations and then made the bigger game, you know? But they actually have like creatures heavily involved in adding new models to the games, or making new game ready models rather, and then like, you know, they're actually animating the new game ready models to be more than they have been. But it's kind of it's interesting to like to see the subtle things that they're doing that like are kind of what fans have like really wanted since the 3DS, you know, games, like with 3D Pokemon being as like kind of static as it has been. So it's like it's nice to see them actually kind of doing something about those complaints. And then like I mean, also is like it's just a style of Pokemon we've never seen, you know.
Yeah,
like,
I think there's definitely reason to have hope.
And at the very least, like my hope is what it brings to the future of the games. Like even if this one is like a bomb, like it sucks, you know. But like there's some small things, like subtle things that I'm like, oh yeah, these are great. I want to see these in future games, you know. There's at least the hope that even if it's the worst possible outcome for this game, it has positive impacts on like the series going forward. Like maybe, you know, they keep using these animations and these models, you know, maybe they, you know, start making Pokemon more open in how the world is presented to you. You know, you're not just like walking down the path with the static camera, like having the entire space be open, kind of like how like the Isle of Armor
wrong with having like
all
a
that
static linear path to like tell a story. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Like I think a lot of modern games have been like trying to go for the more open world format as a form of storytelling.
I'm not even saying like it has to be like open world, but like giving you more control as to how you witness that world. Like even like just having a free camera, like.
Yeah, having a free camera, yeah, and stuff like that. I think those are more modern changes. I think it's definitely nice. Like having a free camera, I think is definitely a nice addition. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think that's gonna be one of the things, because like they kind of experimented with that by like how they did in like Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra. Like they were like, okay, so what if we had this entire area that was like the wild area? And then they were like, but now what if we put a town in that area? You know, what would a town in a game that's like the wild area look like? It like felt like they were experimenting with those ideas. And this looks like the continuation of that experiment. And so like, there's like, I mean, I'm kind of excited to see how that goes. To be fair,
it's an experiment that like studios have been like have figured out for fucking years now. Like,
Yeah, but like,
yeah,
would those
yeah,
have necessarily felt Pokemon just slapping them together, or would they have felt like everything else?
yeah,
And I think that's
yeah.
what Game Freak's trying to do is like make it
Yeah,
still
no,
feel Pokemon, but at the same
yeah,
time having it
exactly.
be,
Hmm.
you know, more modern, more what people kind of expect out of games these days. Like the caves in Sword and Shield sucked. Like they were so bad. And then they had like the caves that were on like the Isle of Armor, and I was like, these are great. And then they had like the one big cave in like Crown Tundra, and I'm like, this is like actually a cave that's interesting. Like there's multiple floors. You pop outside, you go back in. You
Yeah,
know,
I
you
think
can
those are
see
pretty
certain
good. Yeah.
things, and it's like it looked like cool and well thought out. I'm like, this feels like the caves in like Xenoblade Chronicles X and like, you know, games like
I
that
wouldn't
that are
go
open
that far,
world.
Jordan.
Okay, I
Xenoblade
will say
Chronicles X had some very good world design. I
I
don't
would say
think
that the
Pokemon has
caves
come
were not
close.
its strongest part. I'm saying specifically the caves, though. It felt like the caves in Xenoblade Chronicles X. Because the caves were
Um,
basically that. Like, it was like, you've got some up,
I
you've
haven't
got
played
some
X.
down.
I haven't played X, so I don't know exactly for sure. But I do like the
Yeah,
caves
it's...
in other Xenoblade games.
I would say X's caves are probably its weakest part of its world design. But they were still significantly better than the caves in Sword and Shield.
Mhm.
Um,
I don't know. I kind of like the caves. I like
like, the mines were...
the mines is really good. I like
I
there's
liked
like
the
what, like
first
a handful
mine.
of
I think the
caves.
second mine, or I like the first mine. I don't like the second mine because I feel like the second mine is just it's
Yeah,
just
second
a
one's kind
path. Like
yeah,
even
that
the
one's
first one, it doesn't branch off a lot. Like there's not like a bunch of items that I feel the need to go find. There's not like a bunch of floors. Like there's that area with all the woobats flying around, but you can only fight like the two that are near the bridge. Like you can't go down, and there's like the whole channel full of woobats.
yeah.
You know,
I liked in Sun and Moon the some of the caves were really good.
Yeah, Sun and Moon had
Like,
good ones.
specifically the in the Pony Island,
Mm-hmm.
the Vat or the Pony Canyons, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
good
that one
area.
was good. I gotta remove my heat. Yeah, I think, and it was pointed out by the YouTuber Lutu. I mean, I'm sure others said it before him as well, but the reason the caves feel so different in Sword and Shield from like other Pokemon is that those caves were designed by like the newest staff who had the least experience developing routes. Because the people who normally would develop the routes were doing other parts of the game, probably the DLC, honestly, because I think a lot of the DLC felt more like what we'd seen in Pokemon before. But like it was like a lot of the route design was by the like freshman staff basically, and so they like it doesn't have any like the hallmarks of like because there's like apparently specific designers have very specific touches. You can kind of notice like art style differences in how they design routes. Like the guy who designed the island routes in like the Sevi Islands, he was very freeform. Like he wanted them to feel very natural. So like that's why they aren't as like pathed. Like the grass is kind of like scattered. And he does that for any of the routes. If you find like other routes by him, you'll see that there's like random spots where there's just one patch of grass that there isn't grass. You know, or like like a random one patch that is grass, and you're like, what is that doing here? Like
Was
he
this
always
like
was like,
were you learning about this from like a YouTube video or something? Or?
yeah. Well, I don't even know if he put it in a video or if he was just talking about it. I think it was in a video.
Who was talking about this?
It's he's on YouTube. His channel is Lewtwo, Lewtwo,
Lewtwo, okay.
Lewtwo. But like I also like follow Lewis on Twitter, and I helped a little bit. I helped very small. I had a small contribution to like a ROM hack he was doing for Fire Red and Leaf Green. Like I did the sprite for one of the sprites of Blue in that game. because he wanted them to use like the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee art style. He really liked how like Blue looked in that. So basically, like changing up the outfit, changing up the way he like his character design was, but like translating that to like a Gen 3 trainer sprite. But like during the development of that, you know, he was also redesigning some of the routes with like things he preferred from like newer games, because he felt like the routes in Fire and Leaf Green were just like, hey, this is the route in the original, and then they kind of like just did that. It's like, hey, it's the route, but it's new tile set, which kind of makes sense because it was the first time they'd ever done something like that. But like he wanted to kind of go a different way with it, kind of redesign some of them. And so when he was doing that, he was like studying a lot of like how route design had worked in other games, like in the series. And he like was at the level of like studying how each individual designer would kind of like design his routes. But I don't remember. It might have been in a YouTube video, or it might have just been a really long Twitter thread. I honestly don't remember which right now. He spends a long time on his videos, though, so like he does like crazy levels of research. Like he's been working on one for the Diamond and Pearl remakes literally for months now. Like I think he started it at the reveal of them. And he's just still going. He's still writing, still researching. Like he was researching the dev team. Like Ilka has a huge staff. Like they literally have. He hasn't revealed the number. He's saving it for the video. But like someone was like, "Oh, I'd heard that it was 288 as of 2020," and he's like, "Not according to the developer from the studio that I talked with." Or no, you know, it was I think they were doing like a Q&A, and someone had asked how many people were in the company, and they like posted it in their Q&A. But like he had like directly what one of the people in the development team at Oka had said was like how many people they have on staff. Well, the other number was like more speculative. It was like, you know, it looks like they probably have about this many people, judging by like what we see in credits and stuff. So like, apparently have a relatively large team, which I guess makes sense because they've been developing, you know, like their own things. They've been developing Pokemon Home, and they've been doing, you know, the Diamond and Pearl remakes now. So they have a lot on their plate. I'd imagine they have several teams.
Mm-hmm.
Hello? Wait, I gotta knock at the door.
Oh, okay.
Oh. Hello.
What? Ooh, got the blood. Eat it.
Why?
Because it tastes good and carrot good.
What does it taste like?
Well, don't eat the paper.
I know that.
Like if a cherry tastes like green rather than red.
That's a weird statement. Alright, well, I've been handed a ground cherry, and Gwen is home.
Also, there is one other pumpkin out there, and
Yes.
it isn't quite as vibrantly orange, but it is like orange.
Okay. I've been handed a ground cherry and told to try it.
Your sister says she tastes pineapple in it, but I know.
It smells pineapple-y. This is a ground cherry. This is small.
The skin tastes like it, how a cherry skin is. It's very unique.
Tastes like kiwi.
Oh, but yeah. people were saying it tastes nutty a little bit. No, it's like,
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
get that.
I get like.
It's not very sweet at the start.
Mhm.
Interesting. And now I have eaten a ground cherry. Live on stream. Yo, luxury tickets. I want to like at least get 2 faces back this stream. I think that's my goal for this one. Because I got Kronk's face back. I haven't actually gotten back to Kronk. I should probably do that. He'll give me something, I'm sure. Too expensive. Just too expensive. Cool. Where am I? Oh, true. I guess I have further to go in here. Huh?
Who's watching?
I mean, Keith's here in the call. Alright. Don't pull. Don't pull. I think it's one of these ways. Don't pull. No, yes. Oh, I found them. Have a closer look. Don't pull. I've done it. I thought it was that path. I was like, I don't know if it's this path or if I have to go up. Yeet. God, you make strange noises. Alright. Treasure! I have found treasure. Oh, I can afford things again. I have yet to check the mail. Mostly because I started streaming before I can. I can go grab it if you don't want to throw it out. But
Is there anything in particular in it?
I don't know. Mail.
It's got mail.
I saw the car stop, so that's all I know.
I saw him at the bot when I was coming in. He was on Sue's.
Oh. I think it's really strange in this game that you eat mummy jerky. Like that is why? Why do you get jerky from mummies? Why are you eating it? Like I feel like that just is how you get cursed. Like that is asking for a curse.
I mean, does this game make any sense, Jordan?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
I say as my horse snorts out fire, but mine's a Rapidash, so that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. See, sometimes it does make sense.
Oh my god, Jordan, something really wholesome happened at work.
Why is there wholesomeness? Get out of here with that. Wholesomeness is illegal. Finn was very needy today. I swear, he's needy every Saturday.
He's needy on Monday. It's just when we're here.
Yeah.
He's needy. You're so needy.
You need. I'm trying to program something.
Literally, when I
code
was
just
like, oh, I want to
invalid
teach in
syntax.
Pittsburgh, like Cody and Finn, my parents were like,
That's
but
always fun.
we're here all day. He's just always like so needy. Like, you guys are gonna be at work most of the day. How is that gonna work?
He just doesn't care when we're not here. He's like, oh, they're not here. And then he's like, oh, they're here.
But the wholesome thing at work. So it started by in the morning. One of the drivers had messed up this one place's order. It's food for thought, and so we were figuring out how to fix it, and it basically ended up the solution was to like just grab a loaf of the same bread from the store and bring it out to him.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did that, and the guy was like, basically, I guess as a thanks for like helping on that, he literally gave us like sandwiches. Like, he packed all four of us in the office a turkey sandwich with pickles and mustard and mayo, and they were like just. It was literally like sandwich bread, like just little like your mom packs you like little turkey sandwiches with
That's
individually wrapped pickles.
What do you mean individually wrapped pickles? What does that mean?
Each pickle was in like wax wrap.
On the sandwich?
No, like on the side.
Oh, okay.
So, like, they were all like wrapped in tin foil. We just got little sandwiches.
I was like, why would they like take your sandwiches and then like put pickles in them and then have the pickles be wrapped in something?
Like the cheese slice that someone put in a sandwich and didn't unwrap.
Yeah. I thought the plastic was part of the flavor.
That's what the real ones know.
I've got poppet peppers. How's that line of code doing?
It's literally just like the only thing it's telling me is syntax error, and like it's not very clear why at all.
Is it like with a specific like?
It's just like one specific line of code, right? And it's saying invalid syntax, and it's like net like 4. I don't know why it's invalid, and it's not.
Yeah, that's the fun of troubleshooting code, especially Python. Like Java, it usually will give you like a little more of a hint.
No,
if you use certain
Python
systems,
usually is pretty good
but
about
like
it, for like a lot of other cases.
yeah, it's specifically
why.
for like syntax.
And like to be
Python
fair,
can be
I'm
shaky.
writing a very strange line of code. It's like every element in this list, so long as that element isn't empty for every element in that list. So it's like weird. It's a very weird line of code. Granted, it might be easier to break it up into 2, but like that's what I'm trying to do now, and I'm still getting the same error.
Here, drop it in the like coding channel.
No, I'm gonna try like 1 or 2 more things. Like
Yeah, if you can't
gonna,
like find a solution for it, like sometimes it literally just takes other eyes. Like I can't tell you how many times I've had
Googled
something
how
like
to
that.
do exact thing like the other day. So like I know how to do it, I just forgot, and now I need to do it again. Is the thing.
I see.
I just need to figure out what the proper syntax for it is. Like I'll figure it out. It's just gonna take me a second.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. 1,300, 1,100. Oh, I guess I can afford both. Alright, Risio, you're about to be goth girlfriend material.
Wait.
They don't have a yellow version? How dare.
Wouldn't be doing it. For almost like a million times before, and it's just all of a sudden not working now.
Yeah, that's like half the quote unquote fun of code. Sometimes you get things that it's literally just like, I have no idea why this is wrong. I've so many times looked and stared at 2 lines of code where one works and one doesn't, and not been able to figure out for like hours. Like I ran into that several times in my comp, or not like where it was like the 2 of the same line of code, but like I ran into an issue and I'm just like staring at it for hours, and I was just like, why? Why is there an issue here? Everything here looks right. Everything here looks normal. I think there was like one that was like so big. I literally spent like the entire end of my one day I was working on it just staring at it. And then like I went back to my room, like slept the night, came back, looked at it, and figured it out in 5 minutes. I'm like, why couldn't I have done this yesterday? I could have been so much further in my development if I figured this out yesterday.
Oh my goodness.
Too much love.
I touched your hand.
Oh, yeah.
My God. Ah, you got it.
Cody.
I love when Finn like picks something up and runs away with it. He did. That was so good.
Ah, yes, I have hit the next boss fight.
Did you clean it after
I didn't.
You what?
I didn't. I thought you did.
I picked it up, but I didn't clean it.
Okay, Thwomp Shield, that's fitting. The Deku Blade, yeah, I'd say that's fitting enough. Alright, how do I... I'm gonna use my sweet whispers. Ooh, that did so much damage. My whispers were smart. Oh my god, I already killed Deku. Time for haunts. What was it? Today we fought. Yeah, Kronk. Trying to figure out which ones to put, or which one to put in the thumbnail. We got Kronk, we got Deku, we got Thwomp. But I think at the end of this pyramid we run into Thanos. So I might. But I used Thanos already. Alright, Thwomp is saved. Deku is saved.
I've done this like a million times.
Do I have to wait even to the door? It's like, oh, find the door. Go through the door. I'm like, do I have the gem? Maybe I do. No. Don't set off yet. I've done nothing. Gollum, the horse has summoned you. Arcade. Minimalist lab gear, yes please. Can I have it in white? Yes. Now that's Professor Oak. Throw the sword at the cat. Nope, does not like. The shield at Professor Oak. He seemed pretty alright with it. The baseline Thwomp face is very small, or very simple. Does that make sense? Oh, I actually do need to go find those. They're not in here. Okay, well, I guess that is probably where I get to end today's stream. Because I think each face gives me a different one, so I have to find the other face before I can go through there. So I guess 2 boss fights in each of these ones. Makes sense? Alright, well, let's go grab whatever there is to grab here. Hey there, would you like your face? Kronk is ready to face his fears. Yep, got 1 jewel. Deku. It's time. Oh, it's Thwomp first, and there's Deku. Okay. Deku and Thwomp. Get your faces. Alright. So we have that face, and that face. So I guess there's 2 more faces I have to find outside the pyramid, and then I have the 2. Yeah, because I think there's one this way. Somewhere that way. Alright, well. That's fine enough of a stopping spot for today. Made a lot of progress, defeated 3 bosses. Yeah, I actually did a lot. So, right here, let's save the game. So, thank you so much if you joined me live or after the fact. Either way is cool with me as long as you had some fun. That said, I'm gonna go do human things as humans do, and you probably should too. So, yeah. I will be back on Wednesday with some sort of stream. Do not know whether it'll be spriting or if it'll be more like Unite or some other, you know, random stream of some sort, but that will be coming down the pipeline. So, thank you so much. I'll see you. Goodbye.